I suffer with chronic anxiety, and that's something that a lot of people suffer with as well. Looking at me and seeing how I act, you may not be able to obviously see it. But something that I experience is the anxiety born from OCD. I need to wash my hands a number of times. I need to brush my teeth for a certain amount of time. I need to floss for a certain amount of time. I need to be cautious of doorknobs, or else so and so would happen, or else I'll feel incredibly dirty. And that kind of anxiety is something that not only I feel, but hundreds of millions of other people feel as well. And sometimes it's not even anxiety about nonsensical things like I worry about. Sometimes it's anxiety about a test or an assignment or anything school related. Maybe it's family related, human interaction related. Maybe it's simply just unexplainable. You have anxiety, you don't know why. And so when a lot of people go through anxiety, they often turn to others for support. And here are 3 things that you shouldn't say to someone if they have anxiety and they're coming to you for support with that anxiety. So the first one, you're making this a bigger deal than it actually is. That is something I've heard a lot. I was afraid that I was being watched by something. I was afraid that there are eyes in the shadows, in my chair, in my pens, in my computer. I was afraid of that. And I told my mom, and she was like, "Oh, you're making this a bigger deal than it actually is. You don't actually care that they're there. You're just making stuff up for attention. You're making this a bigger deal than it actually is. You're fine. And if this was true, then you're crazy." That is something you don't want to tell someone with anxiety. That's something that can lead someone down a very, very troubled road. And personally, from my experience, being told that it's not as big of a deal as you make it is very invalidating. And it's something that I've really come to hate. That's why I don't like when people automatically assume things. Like, oh, you feel this way, you must be crazy. Oh, you feel this way, you must be overreacting. And that ties into my second one. Overreacting, being extra, being overly dramatic, that kind of stuff. See, when anxiety sets in, you are in a literal fight or flight mode. You are in an elevated state of mind where you simply experience things in a much more intense way. And I think that when it comes to people with anxiety, it's something that can be very calming is when another person comes to you, talks to you as if they're coming from an understanding point of view. You see, when it comes to being in college, when it comes to being in a completely different environment than middle school or elementary school or even high school, you need to be able to properly assess a situation and be able to move forward with it. And sometimes being extra and being dramatic is what you need. Sorry about that, my dog is howling. Sometimes it's getting all those emotions out and being heard that can really help you move forward. And shutting down someone because they're being extra or dramatic can backfire. And the last one, you're being an attention whore. People with anxiety normally, at least people with social anxiety, they're not looking for attention. They're not looking for some sort of validation from other people. They're looking for somebody who they can relate with, who is understanding, and who can validate their feelings. All feelings should be validated, but not all feelings should be allowed to persist, if that makes any sense. Being an attention whore is very different than having anxiety. And I think that a lot of the time when I've dealt with anxiety, people have called me attention whore. People have called me many different things. I mean, they've called me school shooter when they found out that I was sent to a mental hospital. And being an attention whore is a very different thing. Let me just say that. Saying that because you have anxiety or being an attention whore can also backfire on you. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's not a good feeling. And saying that can really hurt a person and could really mess with their head. And it's even more of a problem when they're already suffering with mental illness. Yeah. So, I hope that was a quick little video for you all to enjoy. It's something that I really like to talk about, and I know these mental health lists are getting a lot of traction and a lot of views, so thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate that stuff. Yeah. Thank you. Catch you in the next one. Hui ho, malama pono.